Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly wrap-up here at verifiedinvesting.com. My name, of course, Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist, and I wanted to come to you guys today on a Friday because we have seen some pretty impressive reversals in the stock market, and there's a lot of key charts that flushed out earlier today that have now reversed, could be signaling a short-term low in the markets. And again, I want to be clear, short-term low does not mean bottom is in, off to new all-time highs. I don't believe that, but as a trader, as a swing trader, there are opportunities to be had here, and I want to go over some of those with you guys. So let's first start with taking a look at the overall markets today. Number one, we're looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average up about 165 points, NASDAQ up about 50 points, S&P up about 10. Now, those are not impressive numbers, but at one point today, this was deeply red when we were kind of in the late morning session. So it was a pretty big sell-off from the opening bell. We did get the jobs report today, and we saw the jobs report kind of in line with estimates. And I think that was part of the reversal today, is that we saw people saying, okay, phew, at least we're not crashing in terms of the economy. And while we did see early selling, buyers did step up. And we also saw Broadcom, AVGO, which initially opened sharply higher, selling off almost to the flat line, but then roared back to the upside as well. And again, the combination there helping the markets grind out of some early losses to be net positive on the day. Oil today up slightly. Remember, I predicted a bounce in oil off of that 65 to 66 per barrel level. Gold today basically flat, almost no movement in gold today. And then Bitcoin down just slightly here. Again, this coming on the back of the reserve being created for Bitcoin. But remember, the U.S. says they will not be buying Bitcoin at this point. They're just taking what they've seized and putting it in there and not selling off that. Heat map wise, you can see technology, right? Apple here, Nvidia up on the day, Broadcom's right here. So a lot of green in tech, which has really been the area that's been hit the hardest. All right. Let's get into some chart action here. This is one of the things that caught my eye. There were two things, and I talked about these levels on the game plan today, saying watch these levels. This could be a key level for a bounce. Right here, pivot high, right through here, pivot low and pivot low. Look at the low today, right into that level, all right? And sure enough, markets came down there and then have reversed, and we're basically near the highs of the day as we get into the close, all right? So that's number one. Number two, I'm going to have to show you on the computer over here, so let's walk back over here, taking a look at the NASDAQ. This was a level I highlighted to you guys, the next major technical support right in here, pivot high right through here, these lows. Look at that right there, and then look at the upsloping trend line. From this low from January of 2023 to the low from October to the low here from August of 2024, and look at that, X marks the spot, pierced it and reversed, trading near the highs of the day. Now again, let's game this out. What would we be most likely to see? I don't think the markets are done going down, but could we see a near-term bounce? I think that's a possibility. And then you want to see, eventually, I think we eventually break this technical support and go lower. But right now, again, we could be in store for a little bit of a bounce over the next early portion of the week. Now, some stocks that caught my attention today, and number one, I gave you guys this level a long time ago. Look at this. See this level on Tesla? I said, look, guys, 250 right here, 250 even number right here. That's going to be your buy level. There's a gap fill right there. And Tesla, listen, and Tesla's only, it's only bounced about $12 off of that, which is still not a bad bounce, about 5%. But we'll see next week if this gets a bigger bounce. I anticipate that it will get a bigger bounce. That is a massive level. And what's important about this, guys, and again, I'll go to the big board to kind of show you the power of this level on Tesla, is that this right here was the day basically of the elections. This was when the results were out the next trading day. So essentially what Tesla has done is done a full round trip from where it was trading just into the elections to the current period after the mega run. It went up massively and now has come back in. Now, technically speaking, again, if you looked at 100 of these charts that do this, and there's not that many charts that do these type of moves, but when they do, the likely outcome is a bounce like this, and then you have to see, all right, does it continue up or does it start to break down? We don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know that I know, but what I do know is that probability-wise, you can at least anticipate some sort of bounce. All right, and then we have to see again, does it continue up after that or does it break down? That's the unknown. And by the way, that's part of what will tell us, right? And again, this is a great example for me to teach off of, is that the high probability scenario is this, but then does it go like this, creating more of a bear flag, which would tell us, okay, odds favor the down move, or is it more vertical, which then could create a little consolidation and then another move up? So again, this is why I always talk about to you guys how you have to take every day on the charts as a new piece of the puzzle. It's giving you new information that, again, you can't make up your mind fully about the next or 3 steps ahead. You want to let those pieces of the puzzle kind of come out and then dictate the probabilities of that next move. The highest probability scenario is always your next move, not 3 steps ahead, because we don't know what those next couple moves are going to be leading into that 3rd step. So again, right now, we can go on the assumption we'll see some sort of bounce here. After that, we'll have to reevaluate and go for the probabilities. Okay, next up, let's take a look at a couple of these other charts. Look at Carvana today, guys. I mean, these are just some of this. I always talk about this and how the markets, they take the stairs up. And in all reality, it's kind of like the elevator up and then an even sharper drop in the elevator down. But it's generally in Wall Street, it's talked about as being the stairs up and the elevator down. Carvana, since February 19th to the low of today, 41% drop. But look at the level it hit. Does it make sense that this would be a buy today? I think so. In fact, in smart money stocks, I put out a buy, and so far we're already in the money, $14 just today alone. That's almost 10%, by the way, on this position, so congrats there. Kava was another one. I love this chart. The drop here, incredible. And Kava, by the way, still is doing great in terms of sales. Drops 45% since February 19th, basically, or since early February. Hits a level here, starting to get a bounce there. And then RCL had been a high flyer as well. By the way, look at the beauty of this upsloping trend line. It marked the top right there perfectly. But look at that hit. There's a gap fill right there, and it went right into that levels. All right, NVIDIA today, got a bounce on NVIDIA. Nice little move there after a flush. But remember, NVIDIA is still below this trend line. So let's watch next week to see if it reestablishes or does it break lower. Excuse me. Apologize, guys. Still getting over the sickness, at least the cough side of things. All right, let's go to Bitcoin here. Let's go to the big board, discuss Bitcoin real quick. So Bitcoin is down today. Now, you might say, well, why is Bitcoin down when the stock market is up? Because isn't it risk on? Stock market ended near the highs of the day. Wouldn't Bitcoin go up? So number one, it's below this line. So that's the line in the sand, right? Based on confirmation. It has to confirm above to negate it or essentially to reestablish above. Number two, again, the news this morning was that the Bitcoin reserve was established, but there's no additional buying by the government. They're just taking, again, like I said earlier, what they've seized. The government has seized, and they're putting it in there. That's amongst Bitcoiners, that's not what they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that the U.S. government was going to be actively buying Bitcoin like Michael Saylor. The reason why that can't happen, folks, is that if the U.S. government did that, and again, it's the reserve, right? Bitcoin reserve. It would send a signal that the U.S. doesn't even believe in the reserve currency, the U.S. dollar. They don't believe in their own currency, our currency here in the U.S. They literally couldn't do that. They can't be out there buying. Because again, think about that, what it would send signals to every other country out there. They would say, oh, well, the U.S. doesn't even believe in the U.S. dollar's long-term viability, so why should we? Let's go dump all our dollars. And before you know it, you have a calamity of an issue there. So again, just understand why they couldn't. Doesn't mean I understand the idea that people wanted them to buy Bitcoin, but they just can't at this point. All right, let's go here to just a couple other charts. We'll take a look at gold into the end of the day. Really, gold today, considering the jobs report you would have thought would have caused a big move here, it actually didn't on gold. Very slow price action or quiet price action. You do have this resistance up here, still the line in the sand for me is if we have a daily close above this, then it should shoot gold up to this level. But as long as we don't, my bias remains short-term downside, mid-term to long-term is still very bullish. bullish. So it's just short-term bias is down, mid to long-term remains to the upside. Silver, wish I had more updates on silver here. It's just down slightly on the day, still stuck between this line and this line down here. And then oil today, we did get that little bit of a bounce that I've been talking about, although it was a weak bounce. I still think you could get a little bit more upside early next week before eventually rolling over and breaking the key support level. And then lastly, natural gas was down early this morning. It came back to close slightly positive, but still right on major resistance. You have this upsloping trend line with this gap fill, which it's still keeping price, or at least trying to keep price under wraps here. All right, guys, amazing week. We had a 7 for 7, I believe, in the trading room today for day trading. It was tremendous in that respect. I do encourage those of you out there, come check us out. You can see all the track records, full transparency of all of the services that we do offer. And even if you're just interested in getting your feet wet, we always offer the Advanced Trader Insights, which is only $20 a month. I give my 3 trades every weekend for the next week, and we mark them to essentially the open on Monday, the close on Friday, and I try to hit 2 out of 3 and net gain every single week. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes we have big ones. Like I had a huge gainer on Celsius when it ripped about 50%. That was one of the trades there for the week. Ben gives a trade of the day every day in there. And listen, it's just the point being is that there's so much value just for $20, and that's one of the ways I think people can get their feet wet to see what we do here at Verified Investing on a technical-driven basis. Remember, leave the hype on social media, leave the narratives to the mainstream media. Verified Investing is about data and charts, using logic to make probability decisions to get good results. And that's what it does. That's what we do here. And that's why we have solid results. All right, you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you next week.